So much to talk about, beautiful souls. So, ending with the Ma, with the Kali Ma, or the dark Kali Ma, because the mother is in every aspect of everything, as well as the father in every aspect of everything. Male and female is in everything. Just this world has got a divided brain, and it doesn't get it. So I wanted to talk about how those original 9 men, which were able to make kind of a, this is the legend, a contract with entities, that they would bring energies, people, vessels, bodies, souls to the other side, in order for them to live forever. Now, I'm not saying they did this out of evil. They did it to preserve information. Somewhere along the lines, when this information was put to rest within these humans and dedicated to them, somehow it turned out that more and more people were converted to this. And I don't know myself if this happened at the time of the Templars, which I'm guessing sort of did, or that they were able to get in touch with these entities themselves because of the knowledge and the things that they found. And once you get in touch with the other side, like I've mentioned before, Kali, the dark Kali Ma, and Azrael, that's an angel, sorry. I always get Pluto and Azazel mixed up. So it's a concept, all right? It's a mind. It's a place. Now, Christians flip out when you talk about this stuff. But then again, there's many Christians now that communicate with both sides. And you better watch your little interesting, curious butts, because some of these people that know both sides are Masons. It's what they are. That Masons or Illuminati, they've been illuminated. They got the third eye. Now, some of us in these end times don't have a choice. These end times and beginning times don't have a choice, because both are brought to us in our lives. Both come to us in our lives. Why? Because there's too many of the extensions of these original 9s who made the contract, something to do with the flux, the Jupiterian flow, the influx and the flux of this flow. So Zeus, and the storm on Jupiter. And these are things that are falling into place as I channel and as I ask questions and learn more. Now, I may read a little paragraph about a video game and be like, wow, what? But then I've got to start researching words, and I start researching, say, things will bring me to chemicals and scientific hypothesis. I'm not good at mathematics, so I can't prove it with math, which is the all-seeing God of the end of science, which can be fricked with just the same. Sadly, numbers are the bottom line truth, but our geometry of the numbers. Geometry shows that numbers exist, so the bottom line is geometry, which the ancients all said. But everything is number, numerology, the netter, are also called the numbers or the noom, which I think in some cases, some stuff about the Enuma Elish was part of the netter, the number, the mother, goddess worship, the end and the beginning, which doesn't have to necessarily be evil. It's us people with our intentions of wanting to be rich or famous or have all the power or bring everything back to the mother before it's supposed to be brought back. So like we may have had 84 or something, more or less, resets, as Sadhguru says, but we've got like 112 to complete. And so, do you actually literally think that the Kali Ma can't be stopped? It has been before. And if it's not the time, it will be again. All is in the time of the two, the mother, father as one. And people believe they can distort time because they can distort their human perception of time, and they can go back and forth and change things in reality, which the Templars, the Cathars also talked about reincarnation. Different people have always talked about the possibility of time travel. Now we've got that being exposed more and more in reality, literally. So geometrically, it's a possibility. Time travel geometrically is a possibility. Don't think of numbers in time, think of geometry. It's very simple that way, much easier to understand or comprehend that it could exist. Now, the way many people that are for the dark side or get involved in the dark side or think, oh me or my, oh I'm hell and the mar, and now they believe they have to be curators of life force, which I experienced to some degree, not only people doing it to me, but being able to do it. Any of us can do it. It's a natural born thing in us. We have the mother and father in us. And we don't have to do that for evil. You can draw out poison or you can put in poison. You can take too much life force and greed. You can give too much life force trying to be some savior, you know? So when I talk about things, I don't like to talk about them as good as bad or bad. But these people that want to go to the Heliosphere and feed it, they want to feed it with souls. They want to, many people are, and think the power is because it's gotten out of control here. The astral travel and all that, it's gotten out of control here. So many people are for taking life force. A lot of interesting channels I find on YouTube that I begin to love, that the algorithms just take off. I find out that these people are taking life force or visiting me and some other friend of mine that I know when we're sleeping or in meditation and trying to get a contact via actual, because that tends to be the way they do it with women, like the fallen angels. And all these things I'm referring to aren't separate from each other. They're just part and parcels of stories people have told their own way. Jupiter ain't going to tell it the same way Saturn is. You know what I'm saying? And if your religion follows, which religions have to, follow a certain set storyline or whatever, that's how it's going to be. No, but Christianity is the truth. Oh, really? And that's why it's God's thing to reveal a matter or to keep you from knowing a matter? Yeah, God's God. You don't know everything. Maybe you ought to be more trusting in your knowing and not just think that the Bible contains all the information in the world. It doesn't. No scripture does. Vedic scriptures have a hell of a lot more information, but that's why they were targeted to be removed when the shaitan, the energy changed and that came in. So what happens is shaitan's just an energetic imbalance, what we call an imbalance, because they want the black hole to take everything back. They want to start all over. And I've spoken about that. And when I was in my anger and my confusion and infiltrated by them and their energy, which is corrupt energy, I was the same way. So it's an energy that one gets inside of one, in the mind. And when one, your individual self, is able to ignite the soul from love, from bowing to it, then that's the eternal aspect of oneself, so that when the end or the beginning of things come, you're still you. And I don't mean the ego. The you in the peace, the you in the center, the you not scared of everything, okay? This is the difference. Because we know with like all wars and all this crazy shite in the world, that fear and anger and all of that, hate, oh, I'm a victim to this, all of that breeds more and more and more of the same. And so instead of people dying or passing from one state to the next, because you don't actually really die, you pass from one state to the next. When they do that, if they do that in fear, then fear is what holds on to them. And it's where their mind and they project themselves into. Okay? So something that you can rely on is when fear comes up, saying that's not my thought or that's not my problem, or simply sitting in a space where, okay, how's everything right now? And I'm not talking about fight and flight. I'm talking about really unfounded, abnormal worries and fears. Fight and flight, if a dog comes at you and he's going to attack you, you better run. You better use your adrenaline and your fear for something purposeful. But we're taught and trained in this world like animals to use our adrenaline to make this whole society of downgraded people where the light has just exited and there is no contact with the soul and fear takes over the body, which Shiva was meant to remove. So all these people that are into the Shivism, which is evil and negative and, oh, I just want a war and be a warmonger, you don't get the balance of that. And that's majorly most male Americans. Even speaking of my own kids, so I ain't putting myself above anybody else. And I wasn't a perfect mom and still am not a perfect mom. I'm learning. So everyone should always be open to learn their whole life, not just like, oh, I had kids, I learned to be a parent, I'm done. Oh, now I'm a grandparent, I'm just going to spoil the kids because I'm done parenting. No, you're never done parenting. If you brought life onto this earth, you're never done parenting until you're not on this earth plane. And people need to look at it that way. You're a lineage. You made a lineage. You should have just stopped if you didn't want more. You know, if you didn't want to be part of a family unit and you're all dark matters, then, you know, you shouldn't have done what you did, and we all do things we shouldn't have done. End of that. Back to the topic. So people have this idea of the corona borealis, the crown, the ending crown, the last crown, going to, like some, I've said yogis do, going to the mother. It is a practice. It's a thing done on purpose. So why is this war and this conflict with it? Because souls are being brought there before their time, before it's necessary, which it kind of is the time, because we're in the time of darkness. So the darker matter of it is that, say, like people I talked about, a curating life force so they can stay alive because half their soul belongs there already. And they don't really have permission to be alive. And people like me who legit went to the Dark Mother and also have had something die within me. I didn't kill it on purpose. My body did. Though you could say that was on purpose, because I will not make myself without excuse saying I could have been taking better part of my body. If I'd been enlightened enough to know that I had a thyroid condition I was begging the doctors to try to figure out, I wouldn't have had conceived at that point. I would have been logically like, oh, that's not going to be good for my baby, so I'm not going to do that. So all in all, if one understands deep wisdom, there's never an excuse to do something wrong. Ever, ever. Things can be done wrong to you, and I'm not saying that's your fault. But when you get to this place of clarity, it's never like I had no hand in the matter. Like, it's always some part of you or your soul's mission or part of that negative mission that had a mission. And I don't accuse or blame anybody. I'm not into the New Age BS, which keeps everybody from their soul, as far as I'm concerned, unless you do a real lot of exercises. So I went to the mother I speak about, and it was nothing. There was nothing. Nothing existed. I was nothing. It wasn't like when I went to the white light, which as a child I considered heaven, and I was there with someone that I loved, which I believe was my twin flame, or I don't like to call it that, was my twin soul. And I thought it was somebody that I knew from school, who is now dead, though I don't think that now. Because I've had other encounters with, other souls that were sort of the same, and I realize now that they're parts of those storylines or one's self in those spaces, places, and times. In the white light, you're going to continue to create. In the darkness, you're going to come, all things are going to be brought to an end, which I've said before in these videos. I don't have a problem with bringing my whole monad there if I were that god or goddess. Because why? I'm not scared of it. But would I do it untimely and cause somebody's untimely death so I can be part of the illuminated eyeballs? Because that can't be done in the white light natural BS, because that's not true. Everything is the same. Okay? So these people in the Illuminati, they're looking for fast, quick money. They're using the original wisdom of the nine to become like Egyptian kings and to take souls with them while they leave the earth, which kings did. And one of the contracts to get to that nothing is that you've got to murder people or off people to get there, which I've shared in other videos. Which isn't the truth. It means if you don't want to sacrifice your own body to send your soul there, then you've got to do somebody else's. And people will, because this is connected to a slave-driven system at the moment. It's not like the system's in, I want to say it's wrong or bad. The system is in a depleted, downgraded period of light. The light, okay? It comes out bright, and then it goes off on the earth. And then it goes bright, and then it goes off on the earth. Not going to get into where it's going from there. Other than that white filtration of white light is you judging yourself. You know, when I've said it before, you stand before Anubis, you're judging yourself. So you're not separate from God, or you are, and you're scared of God. Left or right, Alpha or Omega, father or mother. Though polarities exist in all sides of the four corners of the four sides of the world, in the everything. So in the Illuminati, the gang cults that this knowledge and wisdom handed down from these people, because they got a hold of it when the Templars, this whole thing with the Templars was going down again, meaning that it started with the little season, what Christians would call the little season of the darkness, of the shaitan, of the messed up energy returning. So this little season stuff is when the time period of those illuminate groups would have started up again, and the information would have circulated again. And information is always there. It's just who goes, how many people are offing people, how many wars we're having within these dark ages. Everybody in certain time periods were forced to off people, which technically in some rites and some scripts and belief system isn't murder because but it is, because people feel it and the men suffer because of it. Families and lineages suffer because of it. It's why the elite do that, and they and their kids don't fight in the war. So technically, the offing a large amounts of souls during those acts are for the elites and for these people to stay in the power, which that power wasn't really created for that. And that's why these different kingdoms, ancient Lemuria and Atlantis and all this were supposedly died, because the imbalance got too great. And we're in that extra low time period of the Kali Ma, the dark Kali, excuse me, Kali. So we're coming out of that age and space. And people who have gone with that darkness, whether they offed people or chose to, those people switched up spaces with those souls. So when they leave, the other souls that were trapped in the prison, they are going to be allowed to come back. This is my belief system from mixing it up with Christianity. People will tell you when they off these little children or different people, or like what was done with me, when someone takes your life force so that they can slip into your body and pop at you and maybe possibly annihilate you and take your soul in order to travel to this Heliosphere that they owe their slaves to, they owe, because of the way the things have been twisted. So when they off people to move through bodies and to get all this power, they owe something. There's a debt. And so I'm trying to hang on to my thoughts. I'm having a hard time with this cold. So if I'm a little scattered, forgive me. That's part of being a little smart. You get scatterbrained and can talk about things other people can't, but you can't manage normal life. Often happens. So the contracts are made. So if you made a contract and you took innocence to put innocence over there because it's more accepted for the Ma, for the love of the Ma, and this realm that's being created off of her, an illusion, you're going to go there. And those people and those elites, they're going to go there and they're going to be trapped there and they're going to be the food of that. And they know that. So they're like, oh, we're going to hell for sure. So we're going to have the best time we can while we're here. Sound familiar? People do this all the time. I'm the bad guy. I'm the victim. But you can't play victim. Let me off you. You're not a victim. We're just going to switch places in 1,000 years or whatever. So I mix up a lot of different stories because it's how I find the overview. This is called the real having the third eye open, when the spirit leads and the overview is given when the overview is supposed to be given, not to just, I'm going to astral travel and tap into these realms and take other people's life force and destructive and me, oh my, I can't help it, I'm dark, blah, 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 blah. Okay, you can't help it. You're part of that. That's the energy of now. Basically, you're saying you're brilliant, you have all this information, but in the end, you're just an arse and going to be the arse hole. And thankfully, all that confusion and all that demoted energy and all those lies that have been made to contract souls to the hell is going to be vanquished. It's going to be moved out. So, are there some people that should be going to the Ma? Yeah, and should be feeding that realm? Yeah, because when Kali gets going, she doesn't want to stop till the white light comes in and stops her. Stories abound. That's how we relate things in these scripts. They're stories of actual future, physical now, because everything's now. As far as time goes, there isn't time, there's only geometry. So there's only this ever-opening monad of things that experience, and we experience it in our way. And so these people also collect life force, as I've said before, to build their own monads, ships, so that they can take all those souls and go offshore with them. Trading souls in the galactic. This is done, literally. But in the end, who has the say? The Mother Father, the Divine, the Eternal is a Mother Father. It's an energy. It's a spirit. And though those spirits separate in order to cause reality that we can experience in a construct, they're literally always together. They're one. Yin-yang stuff. But on a cosmic scale, on a complete scale. Whew. So yes, a lot of religions have rejected the woman. It's the time period we're in. It's the energetic flow. If you believe that we have not added in 1,000 to 900 to 700 years in the timelines, you as a woman will never get it. You'll just be, I need to fight for women's rights. Well, you're also a man, so fight for your man rights too. You're not separate. We're everything. A DICK is a womb turned inside out, peoples. Ask any guy that who knows about how to get to the top of a womb. Yeah, it's funny. But anyways, the pinnacle of the experience is externalized or internalized. It's all the same. But some people literally think they deserve to go to hell because they were, because things were done to them as a child when they were not in a space of logic, or they're bad boys, or they just gravitate toward bad, or they love causing suffering in people because they're narcissists or demons, meaning that One of these demonic entities, these wormhole things, have taken over their body. And they've played into it. And they believe what the mind says when they astral project, that that's not a projection, that's all of reality. Everything's all of reality. If you project something into reality, you just created a new reality. And people don't like when I go all over like this, because I am not one of these people who are like, well, there's no right and wrong, just do whatever, in the end it'll all be cleaned up. Truth, but why cause more suffering unless you're addled in the brain? Only people who are addled in the brain, mentally ill, or demoted and have a demonic, demoted thing living in them, feeding off their energy so they can experience both sides of this monad and get all of your blessings and your destiny and your family's lineage and everything you were supposed to have. Those of us who survive the incoming, which I'm not judging anybody with that's none of my business, but I'm talking about my experiences with it. When that white light comes in and we're a judge, those people who belong in the dark mom uterus are going to go there. And they're never going to remember any of their past lives or any of their gifts or any of the information they curated so and believed the lies that they would have, and they could be eternal and nobody could stop them and ever on in the sea, blah, 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 figure 8. They're going to go there. And the ones who don't belong there are going to come back. So yes, justice will be served in a way that we don't comprehend, because suffering brings justice, or there'd be no such thing or need for justice. That's the world we're in. So the way to separate yourself from it is to be at peace and bow to your center, bow to your soul, love yourself, because the 9 really exist. Check out the video game if you like playing the game. I'm not saying everything in that storyline is the truth. I'm saying that these things are all connected by plasma, and these realms and these worlds and these galaxies and these stars are all connected via the neural networking, and we are literally all one via that. Now, when someone comes along and they want to trash your lights and off you and tell you that, oh, I'm a mushroom and I'm part of the neural network, therefore I get to judge you, blah, 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 blah. I'll make another video about the stages of judgment with the ma, with the dark, twisted, that's been twisted. But your focus should be on the fact that justice is going to come. It is going to be served, and it is going to be beautiful, heavenly, perfect. Because once the light is done with its job, it's going to recreate everything from a point of perfection again. Now remember, it did not create things without perfection, because we're here to grow. When you're born, you don't know everything. You got to grow. You got to do wrong. You got to do right. You got to figure out everything in the plethora, being autistic or neurodivergent. I never understand people and their culture, and how I treat them from one day to the next totally depends on their emotions and what they're putting out and how they're feeling. And I feel like I can never be honest with people, because you can't. You got to go with whatever their flow is, because if not, they flip out or they don't get it, and you can't reveal. And so that's who I am. I'm the light. I'm a transformer of light. And if you people don't like that, then the people need to move away from me. And I keep myself away from people for that reason. I am weird. I know too much. I've experienced too much. It's been hell. It's also been a little bit of heaven. And I bow to that soul. I bow to that light. I bow to the mother. I'm not scared of it. And that's how you go willingly back to be able to recreate all things again, which eventually we all going to have to do, just like death, you know? So just be whole in your oneness, and watch out who you honor that has tons of information online that, oh, they've got all the, all the video choreograph, and they've put all this effort and work into it, and work, effort, and that's everything, and that's the truth. And yeah, why they're trying to do that and quit their job instead. And YouTube algorithms go through the roof because they're sacrificing your energy to get there. And you're sharing it with them. So that's called justice and even. If you don't know, You don't know, and you're going to share with the wrong people the wrong things. I've been through it, I've done it. So another 30-minute video. I'll let you go. Thank you.